Ashley brought to my attention that she just recently watched The Family on Netflix.
The main, issue that I have with this is there's no accountability for anything when it comes to politicians. And we learned from what was the guy's name? Jeff Epstein?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah, we learned from that a lot of these politicians have been taking part in some heinous acts that will never come to light because nobody wants to hold them accountable for what they've done. So I think this whole family thing is crazy, and it's definitely a must-see.
What does it show you, especially at that breakfast dinner? It is clear that all of these people are in cahoots together.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I took away from that is I've always had this belief that you're crazy to think Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are not on the same side.
Oh, yeah.
I just think you're nuts. And that, literally just seeing them at the dinner, hugging and kissing and literally, And
then they become adversaries. You know what it's like? It's almost like we're in law school, right? Say we both become, criminal lawyers. So you're a prosecutor, I'm a defense attorney. We went to the same law school. We're friends.
You'll never take away the 3 years of
camaraderie,
Texas Hold'em,
right,
and bowling around and everything else.
10 years from now, we're in the same district, and my client, you have I have to defend my client against you in a trial. Yeah, it's adversarial because that's the system. That's the game. It has to be that way.
But what happens when you become the judge?
Exactly. Right. True.
That's where all of this comes into play.
Right.
This is where the American political system is flawed.
Yeah.
Is unfortunately
power imbalances.
One, I think, we had a gentleman, it's a pretty well known last name in Cleveland, Ohio, because they own all these car dealerships. And the grandfather that created and built this business was a gentleman that was just he literally has a high school degree. And he built this huge car conglomerate in Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
They were pretty wealthy. They would take us out on their private jet. That's the degree of wealth this family had and influence. And it was so sad to see. He ran for senator, I believe. Maybe it was a representative, but I thought it was a senator. And, that's when dirt starts coming up. Whether true or not, dirt comes up. And it's just a real shame that the way politics is played out in America is it's you either play or we
gotta get out.
Sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
So here's a guy that wasn't a part of the club. He didn't go to Harvard. In fact, he didn't even go to college. So he doesn't have any of those advocates already in the system to bring him in. So he's running against, the fraternity brother, right? The guy that's already a part of the system or will play ball. And so what really stinks is that I think, yes, you'll never be able to eliminate the human element in the American political system. But I think something we could strive for is, listen, I get it. I think I would do well at advocating for people I represent. But I also, to even get it in a possibility, if I ran for anything ever, I would lose. But to even get in a position with a law degree where I can throw my hat in the ring and undoubtedly lose, I had to jump through a ton of very expensive and very tedious hoops.
Yeah.
And so I think for the American political system to thrive with human flaws, we need to make it more accessible to the real man, to the person who didn't have to jump through all these expensive and irrational hoops and just spent their days working as a mechanic or something.
Right. Well, and it's so sad. I mean, a professor, one of our professors at the law school, he went to Harvard, and he talked about how some years ago there was a Supreme Court justice that was going to be nominated. And they basically told this lady that because she didn't go to the Ivy League, this lady had an impeccable resume. You get what I'm saying? She worked hard. She definitely deserved the spot. And I can't think of her name right now, but they basically said she can't get this job because she's
not in the club.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. It's not about who's smart enough or who has the grit or anything, because one thing that I have noticed in going to this law school in particular, this has been the most rigorous academic program I've ever gone through. And like I've been through some like, some classes, AP classes and all of that stuff. Like I've been through all of that. And this has been hands down the most rigorous, the hardest. So I feel like going to those schools doesn't necessarily mean that you're smarter than someone who doesn't. It definitely doesn't. It's just, you know what it's about? It's about money.
Oh, 100%.
It's about
money
whose parents
and keeping
donate
the money in our pockets, in our club.
Whose parents donate? Because do you think like George W. Bush, like maybe deserved to go to Harvard? Do you think he even excelled there?
No, he had a C average at Harvard.
Right, exactly. Why do you think he was there in the first place? Because Daddy Bush made sure he donated a sizable amount to Harvard University, and you have to accept them. So that's what it comes down to, like generational wealth. It comes down to connections, legacy, all of those things.
And the unfortunate thing is, I mean, it takes a lot to dethrone something that has, over a course of generations, gained so much influence and power, right? It's very interesting being at a school where you go, yes, I go to Widener University, and a vast majority of just the basic public, especially in Ohio, goes, where? And you go, I go to a law school at the capital of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's also funny the amount of people that think that's Philadelphia
and
not Harrisburg, Ohio,
right.
or Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So figure that one out, baby. Again, I say all of this just to build a foundation on the point that Widener is a school that is currently working really hard to build a name for itself,
Absolutely.
Right? They're on the come up. And when I look at these people who go to an equal or better school and they have a significantly easier academic experience, and then when you find out these Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale and everything else is a pass-fail class,
even have grades, right?
And they're not put on a bell curve with adults who are also at each other's throats for the first time in their academic experience to stay alive. Because what people don't recognize is most law schools stop cutting people after the first year.
Yeah.
Once you're in, you're solidified, and you just need to pass.
Yeah.
And keep your GPA after above a certain amount. But we go to a school that is cutting 15%, the bottom 15...
25.
20, well, depending on what year you are.
That's like the average.
The average...
25%, which is insane.
Every semester. So you're at each other's throats trying to stay alive and stay in this thing. So you don't know who to trust. That is an environment that is, one, not healthy for growth or academia, but also not what everyone else is experiencing. This is a perfect analogy. I've never been to Colorado skiing. Mm-hmm. I'm a big skier. But in Cleveland, Ohio, there's Boston Mills and Brandywine, these two little ski resort hills. Mm-hmm. I mean, the big trip for us throughout my skiing career has been to come to New York or Pennsylvania to Seven Springs or Holiday Valley or something. Mm-hmm. Those were huge compared to what I had. And then to find out that Colorado's even bigger and badder, right? So there's something to be said about going to conquering the Black Diamond at the back hill of Aspen, and people just poo-pooing it as like, well, it's just another ski hill, compared to in Cleveland, it's the only place. Yeah. It's the place, and you conquer the Black Diamond there. It's nowhere near the same thing, but they're both Black Diamond. So at the end of the day, I can appreciate that, sure, you've got a law degree, I've got a law degree, and in everybody's eyes, just off of the logo, just off of the polo, or the whatever logo, Under Armour, just because of the thing they stamped on you, it's believed to be better. But I know I've had to climb a bigger hill, jump through more hoops, and compete through a more rigorous system. That's a thing that gives me nothing on paper advantageous over anyone else. It does nothing for me in this resume game. Yeah. But guess what? You can't take away from the muscles that I had to work out and the strength that I gained from this harder hill that I had to climb.